Good afternoon. This is Rick Thomas, your host of Yachting International Radio. I'm here with Haley with SeaKeepers, and we're out today on surface interval having a time we're filming for sea snail.
Yeah, we are sampling for something called Neuston, which involves all the little critters that live at the interface of the water surface and the air. So you've got a net right out behind us towing to collect some snails, hopefully. And we're finding lots of other fun critters along the way.
And obviously we're moving out on the snail's face. So this is fun because you've got your own podcast.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Haley Davids from the To Dive For podcast. And essentially we aim to broadcast the voices of people who get to live out in this big, beautiful blue environment every day. Our marine scientists and dive professionals and just their stories and how they got to where they are.
Fantastic. And those of you that follow me, Rick Thomas, and I am Yachting USA, and I go and do a deep dive into the history of yachting and how that works with yachting industry today. And the SeaKeepers Society part is really something near and dear. This is no accident I'm wearing the shirt today. And it's an organization that I have participated with and have been a strong staunch supporter of for many years now. So here we are.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day to be out here too. We are all the way out in the Gulf Stream right now.
About 24 miles upshore.
Yeah.
About 1900 feet of seawater. Big, beautiful blue ocean day. It's gorgeous.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we at the International SeaKeepers Society are super grateful to have boats like Rick's boat, like this beautiful vessel we're on, to help us achieve the goals of science by using kind of untraditional means. So we have a researcher aboard this vessel today who is aiming to find some of these critters on the surface here in the Gulf Stream. They got the word that these animals might be in the area. And thanks to our longstanding relationship with you here on Surface Interval, we were able to activate a scientist-led expedition in a relatively short amount of time that, as a researcher, being able to get out on the water in quick succession is really an advantage to the scientific community.
And let me speak to that because people have asked me, what do you do with SeaKeepers and how does that work? And I have a lot of fun and I'm spent a little bit saying, hey, I think the smallest discovery vessel in the SeaKeeper fleet, surface and it's only 10-meter boat, 33 play. But it's done perfectly for doing that kind of work. We're avid divers. Those who know me, we're in the water all the time. You were diving this morning, actually.
I was. That's
jealous.
My little salty hair.
But so, yeah, I have been out there. SeaKeepers knows that I am happy to bring scientists and researchers, anybody who wants access to the water. That's my best use of this boat is to allow others the platform to be able to get on the ocean and do something. My perspective, I don't so much care what we do as long as it has some purpose. And I think it's a great way to bring yachting into the world of citizen science and a collaboration between the yacht guide, me, and SeaKeepers, you, and providing this platform that seems to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of the greatest advantages of this not only are that we can activate vessels quickly, but also that we're taking advantage of a community that oftentimes is already out on the water, right? So a lot of these yachts are headed to places that are difficult to reach. Some of our bigger vessels are headed across entire oceans. And by taking advantage of the fact that they're already out there experiencing these places and have the ability to collect samples for researchers that otherwise may not be able to be collected, it really is an advantage of this program, both through scientist-led expeditions and citizen science programs in general.
Absolutely. What we're doing right now, we're dragging a net behind this boat. And imagine if we're going across the ocean, the amount of water sampling, the amount of just collection that could be done. Simple, easy, not very difficult.
Yep. So on that note, anyone who has a boat 33 feet or 133 feet.
Or at 133 meters even.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Plant the seed there. That all works. It's all good. The bigger boats actually have hospitals and laboratories and hotel facilities for science testing guests and such. So, the bigger boats actually have a strong role they can play coming out of the yachting industry in supporting the science tree on the ocean.
Absolutely.
Big advocate for that. So I have to ask, because I do a deep dive with my podcast into where we came from, where we're going, and I do a lot of mentoring work with young professionals in yachting, YPY. You're fairly new to Seakeepers.
Absolutely.
Really, this is our first time meeting today. I think it's a real blessing. It brought you into the wonderful world of yachting. What brought you into Seakeepers? What's your story and where are you going with this, Haley?
Yeah, that's a great question. I come from Austin, Texas. So a landlocked city, but a beautiful one nonetheless. And I got to experience the ocean in just brief spurts and vacations and things like that as a child. And in even those small experiences, fell madly in love with it. I then pursued a scientific degree, ended up getting a master's degree in biology where I studied art and coastal health of corals here in Florida.
Bravo.
And since then, I just really have been looking for a way to get involved and progress goals of science overall. And I think Seakeepers has a really unique way of doing that. It combining the efforts of researchers that were in contact with these vessels and yachts that are headed to unique places. So I just really saw a niche role that I could fit myself into, help to manage some of the citizen science programs that we have going on, anything from our Seabed 2030 project to our Neuston Net Research Collective, as well as a couple other really awesome projects that we're getting ready to have come on board soon. So.
You did notice the Seabed 2030 Virgin flying on the bottom.
Absolutely, I did.
We've got the data collection going on here. And of course, you get to work with people like Tony, with Aubrey, with Katie, really cool people in the organization that are in that part of the SeaKeepers Society, the science part of it. And certainly wouldn't be the last time we come out on surface and is something fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully I get to get out here one day when we're doing some diving or something.
Yeah, this boat's set up for diving, right?
I can see that very clearly. Yeah.
And that's what we do. And that is definitely, I'd be remiss not to bring in one other little piece of conversation. And that has to do with Project Baseline. Project Baseline is a citizen science initiative. Dr. Todd Kincaid started that with the Global Underwater Explorers, Jared Jablonski and Lon Carmichael many years ago, broke it away and is doing his thing with that now. We have been talking for a while about bringing Project Baseline to SeaKeepers Society. And you and I were talking about that earlier this afternoon, leading into this opportunity to sit down and talk together on film. What do you think? Does that sound like something that resonates with the mission statement that we all are putting our arms around?
Absolutely, yeah. I, of course, can't say anything about whether, when we'll get this up and rolling. Definitely going to have to be an organization-wide conversation, but it sounds like a program that would be really fascinating to Seakeepers. And I do think that we potentially could play a role in that, especially with some of our access to citizen science vessels, people who are already fascinated in that side of the state.
And that's the beauty of the organization. It self-replicates. You get somebody trained in setting up baseline stations and doing Project Baseline. And Project Baseline is simply identifying a spot in the ocean that you can come back to again and documenting its health, its condition now. So later when you come back to it, you can measure whether it's improving or depreciating, what's happening. And organization's been around long enough that we can go back 10 years and look at some of the baseline sites from 10 years ago and have a measurable, tangible vision on what's happening there. With the yachting industry, with so many boats transiting through South Florida, it's just natural that we would train the crew, entice the owners to protect, and then let them go 7 seas. And then as the crew moves from boat to boat, vessel to vessel, there's the opportunity to move that program organically that way.
Absolutely.
And it's an international initiative, International SeaKeepers Society. Can I tell you, it just seems to fit. So we'll look forward to seeing where that goes in the near future. It'd be fun to come back to this podcast 2-3 years from now and go, hey, remember?
Remember when? Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
This is real fun. And of course, if you have anything for your podcast,
I'll probably take some of this audio and incorporate it into some of our episodes coming up, though. Talk about some of the great things we get to do on the water as not only a scientist, but also in my position now in science management too.
Fantastic. And I think what we'll do is we're going to take something work we've done earlier today and weave that into this as well. We're going to have fun with this one. I thank everybody for coming on board and spending some time on Surface Interval with us today. We will be back again on another adventure, I'm sure, in the very near future. Thank you, Bailey, very much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking us out.
Absolutely. My pleasure. This is Rick Thomas, Yachting International Radio's Yachting USA podcast, and we're out of here.